So are you a real estate agent? Are you making full use of your license to sell real estate? Are there conversations that you could be having that you're not, that would really help you to increase your sales of property, especially with investment real estate? Okay, so one of the problems that I find is that people think way too short term. And I really encourage people when it comes to investments is to think longer term. I mean, for decades, like even 25 to 50 years, because we all need money forever until our time's up, okay? So what I find with people is they think way too short term. They're even thinking 2 years, maybe 5 years. To get someone to think beyond 10 years is a little bit of a challenge, but it really helps to bring that up. And what I want to do here today is just share with you a conversation that I've had with many people, and it really opens their eyes because it's a really long-term thinking. And then when you think long-term, it can change the choices that you make. So if you know what you want today and you outline that, then when you know what you want, then you can make decisions in that type of framework. Now here we got this typical example here. Let's say you're only in your 30s or even 40s, but you sit down with someone, you talk, let's think till you're 90, okay? And typically what most people do is they're gonna put money in their RRSP, okay? But as real estate agents, what we wanna do is we want people to put money into a house with a suite. That's ideal, because we understand that, we know why that's good for them. Now, just imagine if you're thinking long-term and you can have this type of conversation with someone who's even 40 years old and you're encouraging them to buy a house with a suite by education and having them come to their own understanding. They must own investment real estate to meet their financial goals and dreams. Now, let's take someone who's already age 71, okay? And they had two options. They could either have 500 grand in their RRSP at age 71, or they have a house that's worth about $500,000, a house with a suite that's rented out and it's mortgage free. But what happens moving forward for that person, okay? So when someone turns 71 in Canada, their RRSP has to become a RRIF, and a RRIF stands for Registered Retirement Income Fund. And what happens is people get on a schedule and they have to withdraw a certain amount every year, and then they pay income tax on that. And basically by the age of 90, okay, that 500 grand has been withdrawn and taxed. So the value of that would be zero, okay? Big fat zero. Now, if someone had a really smart real estate agent who sat down with them in their 30s or even 40s or even maybe early 50s and had an educational process with them around investment real estate, and let's say they decided to get this house with a suite and they were, by age 71, getting a nice income from that property, it's mortgage free. But if you think, what happens to that person when they think long term, okay? So by age 90, if we even assumed a 3% appreciation rate on that house, and you're getting income all the way through because you're not depleting the asset, you're living off the asset, okay, which is very different in this scenario where you're really depleting your asset and living off of it. Here, you're living off of it, okay, you're not depleting the asset. So at 3%, that 500 grand house 20 years later is worth about 900,000, okay? 900 grand. So that's the difference with different thinking, okay? This person thinks long-term, ends up with zero, or doesn't think long-term. This person thinks long-term, ends up with 900 grand. So the thing is when you talk to people who are between the ages of 71 and 90 and you have conversations with them, what do they talk about? They're worried about running out of money, okay? And they are, because they're in this plan here, and they're worried about declines in the markets. So they worry about that type of thing. And they also worry because they want to leave something behind for their loved ones. And they know they won't really be able to, most likely in this scenario. But over here, they don't worry about running out, and they know they have that asset they can sell anytime they want, and they know they're going to have something to leave behind for their loved ones. And that's really the type of thinking that when you think long term, and having these conversations with clients when they're in their ages 30s and 40s or even early 50s are very powerful, because if you point these things out to them, it's going to be a big motivator have them want to buy investment real estate. So are you making the most use of your real estate license? Are you having all the conversations you can have? So just jump over to sixfigureconversations.com, and there's so much more information there, and you can learn to earn. So I'll see you over there. Thanks.